In 1957, the Philadelphia police did something unthinkable today. They took a photo of a deceased 4-year-old boy, dressed him in clean clothes, sat him in a chair, and put his face on 400,000 posters across the city.
Wait, 400,000? That sounds like a citywide obsession. Why the extreme measures?
Because despite his face being everywhere, on flyers and gas stations, even tucked into every tax bill in the city, for 65 years, not a single person claimed him. He was known only as the boy in the box, America's most famous unknown child, until a breakthrough in 2022 changed everything. This story starts on a cold February day in 1957 in the Fox Chase neighborhood of Philadelphia. A young man checking his muskrat traps finds a large cardboard box in the woods. Inside, wrapped in a cheap plaid blanket, is the body of a small boy.
A muskrat trapper? That feels very 1950s. But what about the box itself? Was it just some random trash?
It was actually quite specific. It was a JCPenney shipping box for a white wicker bassinet. The police tracked down the store, but back then, sales were cash and there were no digital records. The trail went cold immediately.
So you've got a kid, a box, and a blanket. No clothes? No identification?
Nothing. He was nude, severely malnourished, and covered in bruises. But here's the weird part. His hair had been crudely cut very recently. Clumps of it were still on his body, and his fingernails were neatly trimmed. Someone had been tending to him right before or after he died.
That is chilling. It sounds like he wasn't a runaway. He was a secret.
Exactly. And the 1950s was an era of secrets. For decades, the case was kept alive by people like Remington Bristow, a clerk at the medical examiner's office. He spent 35 years and his own life savings trying to find this boy's name.
Did he ever get close? What was his best lead?
Bristow became convinced the boy came from a local foster home about a mile from the woods. He even visited a psychic who led him straight to that house. Inside, he found a bassinet similar to the one from the box and blankets that matched the one in the woods. He believed the boy was the illegitimate son of a woman living there.
That sounds like a slam dunk. Why didn't the police move in?
They tried, but the family denied everything, and there wasn't enough physical evidence in the pre-DNA era to prove a link. Then, in 2002, a new lead exploded. A woman named Martha claimed her abusive mother had actually bought the boy from another family in 1954.
Bought a human being? Like a black market adoption?
That was her story. She said her mother called him Jonathan. She claimed her mother beat him to death in a basement for vomiting in the bathtub, then forced Martha to help dump the body in Fox Chase. It was incredibly detailed, even mentioning he'd eaten baked beans, which matched the autopsy.
So why isn't the case closed?
Because Martha had a history of severe mental illness, and no neighbors could verify a child ever lived in that house. It was another dead end. The boy's body was eventually moved from a potter's field to a proper grave at Ivy Hill Cemetery. The headstone didn't have a name. It just said, America's unknown child.
So how do we get from a nameless headstone to a 2022 breakthrough?
Science finally caught up. In 2019, modern investigators decided to try genetic genealogy, the same tech used to catch the Golden State Killer. They extracted DNA from the boy's remains, which had been exhumed years prior, and uploaded it to public databases.
Let me guess, they found a cousin?
They found several. Genealogists built a massive family tree backward to a common ancestor, then worked their way forward to the present day. After 3 years of digital detective work, they found his birth mother and then his father. On December 8, 2022, the Philadelphia Police Commissioner announced to a room full of aging detectives that the boy finally had his name, Joseph Augustus Zarelli.
65 years later. Did they find out who actually killed him?
That's the tragic part. Both of his parents are dead. While Joseph had living half-siblings, they claim they never even knew he existed. His birth was likely a secret held by a very small, very quiet group of people in the 1950s.
So the mystery of his identity is gone, but the mystery of his murder remains.
It's still an active homicide investigation, but the legacy of this case isn't just about the crime. It's about the Vidocq Society and the generations of investigators who refuse to let a child be discarded like trash. It proved that in the age of DNA, no one is truly unknown anymore.
It's a bit of justice, even if it's late. He's no longer a symbol. He's a person. Alex, what's the one thing to remember about Joseph Zarelli?
Joseph's case proves that while a secret can be kept for a lifetime, science and human persistence can eventually speak for those who were silenced.
That's Wikipedia. Every story on demand. Search your next topic at wikipedia.ai.